Thank you so much for being with us. We have Ala Nunu, an animator who conducts workshops occasionally here in PJAIT. It's the second workshop week for the first year students, their social design animation workshop. Thank you so much for agreeing to record this with us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here, so yeah.
I would like to, as a trivial question, ask first, maybe you could say a few words about yourself? So, to introduce yourself?
So, as you mentioned, I'm Ala Nunu. I'm a Polish but Portugal-based animation director, and I had the pleasure to co-found a production cooperative called Cola Animation. So, in my daily work, I animate, direct, produce, art direct, do a lot of things, and it's a lot of work, but also a lot of fun. So.
Well, I honestly cannot even imagine how much work goes into these things, but I guess because you are experienced with this, it would be interesting to know how you approach a workshop like this one with people who most likely haven't done much of animation at all, haven't collaborated much. How do you even start working with students like that?
First of all, the workshop hasn't finished yet, so I'm really, I'm really afraid of jinxing it. Yeah, exactly. Plywood. But I believe that it's all about just getting people interested. And if there is at least one thing that can get someone interested, that's cool. Like maybe start with a little bit more unconventional video or with a little bit of a weird question to the students. I think it's all about trying to engage with the students and not having it being strict lecture, but more of a exchange of thoughts. I always find huge pleasure in interacting one-on-one with students and being able to see what drives each particular person. And unfortunately, in a week with 20 people, it's not that easy to do. But I hope that at least there is at least one person that had fun. So yeah.
No doubt. We will see the results tomorrow, and I'm sure students will be missing you really deeply after you have to leave. But yeah.
We will see. Your group was amazing.
Well,
this group is awesome as well, but I seriously am too afraid to jinx anything.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that. And I instead would ask you about how your journey being interested in doing animation start. What was maybe the animation or an animator or an artist that you saw that made you interested in it?
As a teenager, I saw a billboard for an animation festival in Poznań, Poland called Animator. And it was in my hometown, so the town that my family is from. So I asked my mom, like, "Oh, would you mind if I go to Babcia for this amount of time?" And it turned out to be incredible to see this many different storytelling styles, different techniques. It was really overwhelming and exciting at the same time. And the directors that stood out to me the most were Kijek Adamski. Actually, they shot parts of their latest film in the school, in the room upstairs. And so, yeah, I was really impressed with their stop motion work, very experimental, but also very approachable, where you could see everything made in actual spaces, in actual objects, and just playing around with it and bringing it to life. And doing that in Poland. My teenager mind was blown. So right now, I have a huge pleasure to actually have collaborated with them on inter alias the latest film Slow Light, and I recommend everyone to see it. I love it so much.
When it comes to your approach to doing animation and not even animation, but looking into characters and stylization, what to you is a key to design a successful character, design a successful kind of a style for an animation that would be convincing and interesting for a viewer or even for yourself when you're working on it?
It's a very tricky question. There is, like loads of different answers to this question.
I am sorry. I was asking the question from a perspective of someone who's interested in character design more. I'm just curious, what is your approach to when, for example, you have a specific task to have a character that is human-like but not human? How would you start the work and how would the process look like for you?
I'm gonna answer about the process in a bit, but first of all, the most important thing is to have. If it feels right, it's right. Like it all goes down to the feeling of like, that's a cool character, or like. I'm making funny guys. Like, if making those characters makes you happy, then they're right. And this is, I think, like you need to trust your gut. And when it comes to the process, it's all about sketching and resketching, making tiny iterations of the same thing, trying to find the perfect one. With age, I get more and more into. I appreciate more and more just the time you spend sketching and especially doing very small things or very gestural things, because then the quality of line is sometimes something that you cannot copy while you do something very designy. And so having that as your basis and then working on top of it, trying to get what is the coolest, what makes you the most happy about it, is what I find more and more interesting. Yeah.
I am wondering, because you mentioned the quality of line, you said, and your short film Ahead has very particular, very thin, stylized line art with a very bold shadows. And how did the style, for example, for that one come to be?
This definitely is a staple of time for me, this film, and it's still very dear to me. But it was, I'm not going to lie, it all started with Inktober. I was just got really excited about drawing things with fake shadows, and then Then at the same time, I was really excited about trying to figure out how little you need in order for a story, for a character to still be recognizable. And so Ahead is an entire experiment on that topic for me. Yeah.
That is really, really nice. I also would like to ask you about what do you see is the most important thing when you're doing a workshop, when you're working with other people, when you're in a team, and it's some kind of project. What to you is the most essential thing that the person can take out from the experience when working in a team doing some animation?
You're talking about workshops or about work?
Honestly, I was trying to put both in the question, but let's talk about workshops because they're closer to what we're doing.
With workshops, the most important thing for me is for someone to take just like one tiny thing that they are excited about, and just like try to go out of their comfort zone and of the safe things that they know how to do, try to do something a little bit different, do something that maybe they don't necessarily want to do as well, and try to see if there is something that is exciting about it. When it comes to working with people, I try to get the atmosphere to be nice, but of course we are in animation world. It needs to be. No, it's. I don't want to say that we are not nice in the animation world. It's just that animation is so time consuming. So there is a lot of work. So sometimes there isn't enough time to do the checkup on how are we all feeling, and it just goes down into effective communication. So this is something that going forward in my practice I would like to put more focus on how we are all actually spending this time and not just worrying about the final product. And I know that this is something that I need to work on. Yeah.
Talking about working in a team and your experience, I cannot not ask about Ice Merchants and the Oscar nomination. How first of all, just something fun that you remember from working on that short film? And how did it feel when you found out about the nomination?
Oh my god, no, it was weird. It's, I don't know, like all of it is just so surreal. This Ice Merchants came from the wonderful mind of João Gonzalez, who invited me to co-animate it with him. I brought in the project to Cola Animation. We produced it, and yeah, and it ended up being nominated. We, I don't know, like. I think I'm still processing it. We went to Oscars in March, and it's like, I don't know. I was on the red carpet. It's like, why? Who allowed me there? So it was all very surreal, but all very much fun. I just remember this moment where João was wondering where to premiere his film, and he already had secured premiere in a very prestigious festival, but he decided to say no to it and wait if he's going to get accepted to Cannes. And we were all like, oh my God, Sean, like, I don't know, like, do you really want to do that? And then we won Semaine de la Critique in Cannes, and it was like, we went to celebrate and ate a kebab. It was wonderful.
The whole thing you're describing feels very overwhelming, but I mean, this is a cool thing about it. The things like this don't happen really often. So, congratulations on that. I would message you about this, but this is so cool.
That's funny.
I would like to close off by maybe asking, what would you suggest advice to the younger student artists who want to do animation, want to pursue something creative, but they're struggling to find pace, start doing it? Trivial, but I mean, a lot of people would be curious to know what you think about this.
It definitely answer to that would change throughout the year and day of the week for me, but I think it's very much about having fun with things. It's such a silly thing, but you know, like, I'm finally learning that work is not everything in your life, and that having fun at work. Sorry. And that having fun at work is the coolest thing. Like, to not forget that we get to do for life our passion. I think I'm not answering your question. I think your question was different, and I'm just going on a rant. But
Listen, I am happy with any answer to this, because this is your thought, this is your approach. The way you go is your personal way. So thank you for answering. I am really excited for the workshop results. We would love to insert a few clips, and thank you for doing the workshops here. Thank you for your time.
thank you for having me. I really, it's so difficult to tell, like, because when you are working with someone, you're sort of on the same level, so they can tell you, like, no, you're talking bullshit. And when you are in the position of teacher or workshop lead, it's like, hey, so is everything okay? Is like, are you enjoying it? Are you no? And they will not tell you, like, it's bullshit.
Yeah, for students it's difficult. But I guess what I also remember from our workshop, you try to like change this balance so students feel on the same level. And this is also really cool. This is also cool for those who are interested in education. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cheers! Thank you for all that. No.
Government officials insist that this is an isolated incident. We will continue to inform as this story
you.